I do not regret what's not happened. What I like to do is look forward to what I can achieve now from where I am today. I don't have time to regret.
Phenomenal. Such a powerful statement. I don't have time to
I have one life. I have one life to live, sir, and I want to live it to the hilt. So I have no time to regret.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Leisurely Baat. My guest today is Mr. Puneet Sud. Puneet is a model and has extensive experience in advertising. He believes in the new 60s. Puneet, welcome to Leisurely Baat. How are you doing?
Very well, should be. And a very good morning to you, or rather, very good afternoon to you. It's about
Just
a little
past
past 10:30 in Dubai. Yeah, it's
Yes.
a little bit past 10:30. So I've just had my morning coffee. But
Right.
a very good afternoon to you.
Absolutely. Puneet, when I was looking into your profile and we spoke a couple of times, I was so, inspired, by your spirit of life. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, what was the tipping point when you took the decision that you're going to pursue a career in modeling and acting? You've been in advertising, but all through your career, probably like you've never taken this as a profession. So very, very keen to understand that.
Okay, as you very rightly mentioned, advertising, and to be more precise, it's been media sales.
Right.
So I came to the United Arab Emirates in 1988, August 1988.
Right.
I still remember it was an Air India jumbo.
Right.
And I still get very nostalgic when they talk about de-investing Air India and stuff like that, because that's the carrier which brought me in here.
Right.
And my initial, well, you'll be surprised to know that technically I am a qualified civil engineer.
Uh-huh.
That's what brought me to Dubai.
Right.
And look how fortunes change.
Right.
I couldn't get a job after a series of interviews. And it was quite by accident and more, I think, out of desperation that I applied for a job with a local newspaper over here, who were in the process of actually looking for sales executives. I barely knew at that period of time of what media was. Leave alone what media was, I barely knew how to spell media.
Right.
But as fate would have it, I got the job. And I still remember my boss at that period of time, and he said, "You're a civil engineer," and he showed me a copy of the newspaper. This was hilarious. And he said, "Tell me, what is this?" And it was a column in a newspaper, if you understand,
Right, right.
if you're aware. And I said, "That seems to be, from a civil engineer's perspective, that's 6 inches long." I don't know how well it went down with him, but I got the job.
Wonderful.
Now, for me, essentially doing the job was dropping anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 4-year-old daughter, and my wife was pregnant with a son at that period of time, and I simply had to drop anchor. What was supposed to be a temporary plug in the whole kind of a situation, I actually ended up spending close to 13 and a half years with the newspaper. I was their first ever deputy advertising sales manager, and I went on to become their first ever magazine's advertising sales manager. So it was a very fulfilling stint I had with them. And that actually launched me, on the road to media sales.
Right.
Subsequent to that, I spent another 12 years with the leading telecommunications company in the UAE,
Right.
where I was heading advertising sales again.
Right.
23 and a half years into a 9-to-5 job, and I said, enough is enough. And, with the kids having settled down by the grace of God himself, I thought it was time now to move on. Now, there's one word which simply does not exist in my dictionary, and that is retirement. I'd rather stuff myself and park myself in a museum than retire. And I was sitting with one of my clients who's more of a friend, and I said, "Chief, what next?" And he gave me that look in the face, and he said, there's a niche in the world of modeling for dark, sinister, ugly-looking men like you. Why don't you give modeling a shot? I said, all right. And I've always loved adventure in life. And I said, all right, if you say so, I'll give it a crack.
Right.
So I registered myself with modeling agencies locally over here. And as luck would have it, in less than 2 months, I got my first assignment.
Fantastic.
That was that. And I think if memory serves me right, that was November of last year.
Right.
So I have just finished just about a year in modeling.
Right. Fantastic.
I was also fortunate enough to get an opportunity to audition for a Bollywood movie.
Oh, wow.
Another story, it never worked for me, but fantastic experience.
And that's more important, it's a journey, and as you were telling me, it's so, it is so stirring. It is so much of positivity, it's so much of energy. And I think that is, what it will inspire me definitely and all my viewers.
Shooting to me, I think it was a cocktail or a blend of desperation and adventurism, if I may.
Right.
I had to have something to support the family. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, there was the spirit of adventure in me, which said that, let's do something out of the ordinary.
Correct.
Just can't lie back and wait for things to happen.
Right.
And now suddenly, young people like me are very much demand in the market. Now suddenly everybody thinks that this is the age one should actually be modeling and acting, So I'm very pleased in my own humble way. I've become a kind of a trailblazer.
Absolutely.
And it's getting more fun. It's getting more interesting with every passing day. And,
Right. No, absolutely. And as you were saying, I could visualize the journey, visualize the whole energy and the excitement that with which you were talking and you were explaining. Now, in all this, within this journey of becoming a model, getting into the industry, from behind the camera to in front of the camera. I'm sure it's not that easy. There's a lot of preparation that needs to happen. There's a lot of probably some element of schooling. So how difficult was it, to prepare yourself physically and mentally, and which was more difficult?
Now, luckily, Shubdev, physically, I have been very active ever since I was a child. Mm-hmm. My dad inculcated this habit of, exercise and sport. So it was more of sport and exercise than academics, frankly speaking. I'll be very honest over here. But yeah, from a physical aspect, it wasn't a big problem for me because I had, by the grace of God, kept myself in good shape, mm-hmm. Fingers crossed. Mentally, I've always said this to myself, I say this to aspiring models as well, is that do not treat it as a compulsion. Treat it as a passion. Because when you treat something like a passion, it all comes out naturally. Right. Second, I've always believed that you don't make models and actors. You need it to be in you. You need to be an actor in you, you see. Right. So, I'll be very honest with you, Sushi, it's very easy for someone to be saying all this when you're on the road to success and things are working out for you. Honest to God, there was no preparation at all. I simply went to an assignment, behaved my natural self. That's what I told the directors. This is what I am. I was told this is what you need to do. And that was that. I have had no formal training as a model or an actor. I have simply gone on set, lights, camera, action. There I was. I will be candid enough to admit that, everything didn't just go as per plan. But most of the time, most of the assignments are done. There's been little or no preparation. I mean, a classic example, I went for a casting shoot just last night. And this was for the role of a very senior executive who's looking back at his success. Mm-hmm. And the director, during the casting, he said, you know what, this is the script. Now I want you to look at that wall and this floor and this ceiling. And I said, excuse me, may I do it my way? We finished the casting in 7 minutes.
Wow.
And he said, I'm looking forward to calling you back again. So the point I'm trying to make over here is let it flow. It's all there in us.
Right.
So
Right.
I make no preparations. I'll be very honest with you.
That's a very wonderful thing that you mentioned. Sometimes we over-engineer, and we kind of think too much, about how to do it. And sometimes if you just let it happen, be natural,
Absolutely.
and not be fearful. I think it has a huge connection with people in and around you. So very well said. I think that's something which I have been trying to do all my life, and not just to follow my heart, follow the passion and enjoy it. And that's probably what I hear from you is that you've been enjoying this
You
journey.
hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. Precisely. I simply go out there and enjoy myself.
It's not your job to select, it's somebody else's job to select. Your job is to go there and just have a good
Absolutely.
time. And I saw your couple of ads that where you performed and you were part of, and it was so nice. When it was, I saw how you performed, and and now when I hear that you had very little preparation or no preparation as a model and actor, it kind of sanctifies the whole perspective that life is all about being yourself.
Absolutely. All I say is, at the end of the day, no one is going to hang you by the neck if things don't work. If they don't work well, they didn't work because I didn't try.
Right.
So that's my philosophy. So I just let it flow.
No, very well said. Very well said. So
Thank you very much.
did you been growing up, your earlier life, did you ever think that someday you want to aspire as a model actor? Or did you act in school, or this whole construct of performance, was there any element of that as you grew up?
I will be dead honest with you again. I have been very, very fond of acting. My dad, we two brothers and a sister.
Sure.
And my dad always told my mom, he said, this man will survive because he's an actor. Now, I don't know exactly what he meant by what he was trying to convey.
Right.
But my earliest, I think if I remember right, again, I was 5 years old when I went on stage for the first time in India.
Right.
And I remember I won a school bag as the second prize.
Wow.
So, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think acting is again something which is inside you. It needs to just come out. Everybody is not an actor. So, to answer your question, yes, I've always aspired to act. But not in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that life would take a U-turn and this is how I would. And at this stage of my life,
right,
I hate referring to myself at this age. I would say this stage of my life.
Correct.
That has come as a huge surprise. I mean, huge, pleasant surprise, if I may.
Absolutely.
So yes, I've always had this aspiration of, someday acting,
Now, that's a good, what I wanted to ask you, and is, do you believe in serendipity?
I do. A firm believer. Yes, indeed.
Right. Because it seems like, a lot of things that has happened with you, you've kind of embraced them.
Yes.
And sometimes, I've also seen that, especially, coming from India or growing up in India, people are often typecast, people who are good in studies are expected to do well in life, and often people are not given the option to transform, which is very sad. It's about that self-realization, and people can transform. People can change orbits. And often in India, we are also branded. If somebody has not acted in school or college, it's so resume-centric rather than outcome-driven. Tell me what to do, and I will get it done, rather than seeing it on the CV and then trying to assess someone, or probably discount someone. Which is so sad. In some cases. So
how appropriate, and I always had this argument with my dad. I said, look, Dad, there's life beyond an engineer, an architect, and a doctor.
Right.
In those days, that is the best you could do.
Correct.
And you had the stereotyped Indian response, is that all this I'm putting together is for you.
Right.
I mean, it's very sad that children in those times, of course, when I watch my kids today, it's a very different scenario. They
Right.
follow their instincts. They follow what they think is good or best for them.
Right.
So, unfortunately, my generation, and perhaps yours,
Yeah, I
maybe I'm
mean,
jumping the gun,
and
we
absolutely.
never had the luxury of, So I think you put this very, very appropriately. There's, this desire in you to become something was always muffled or stifled. You can't do this. How can you even think about doing this?
Correct.
Even today, I'll be honest with you, when folks back home learn about the fact that I'm into modeling and acting, it's a chuckle and a what?
Yes.
Kind of a response, So it's sad, but it doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
I'll be honest again to admit that I've given my children a free hand, a free rein. I said, do what your heart tells you to, except that if it doesn't work, don't blame me for it.
Absolutely. Take
But
ownership.
I have never imposed myself on my children. No, I've never done that. And I don't intend to. And I would advise a lot of parents not to.
Right.
Because you don't know, what the child is losing out on.
Correct. Correct. No, very well said.
Let
Very
them
well
follow their
explained.
heart.
Absolutely, follow the heart.
Yes,
I think
yes.
that's a key thing, and that's why I wanted to ask you. You spoke a little bit about the expressions from some of your family members, or So, did anybody tell you, like, you're too old? Why are you getting into this? Why at this stage of your life? And what was your rebuttal, if at all?
No, Shubhadeep. I've been very fortunate that at least all my family and my close relatives, we're quite a big family out here, and my dear close friends were extremely supportive. They all thought that this was indeed a very brave move when the age factor always came in. But they all thought it was a very brave move. And I had support and encouragement all the way through, and I still get it. So I am very fortunate that I have had hardly, if any, negativity about what I'm doing.
Fantastic.
So I've been very lucky, to be very honest.
You're such an inspiration to so many people, especially in the senior citizen community. And I say this because a few years back, I had a start.
Senior citizen 65, Shubhadeep?
In India, it is 60. In India, it is 60. That's what. Yeah, sorry. So, from an Indian perspective, it is 60. And a few years back, I was running a startup called Seva 60 Plus, which I founded in Kolkata. And in some cases, the whole idea was it was like an engagement platform for senior citizens. So the whole construct was that how do you keep yourself busy? Because a busy, if you're busy, your mind is occupied.
Yes.
You do not get into mental health issues, and that was the whole the construct. And I had the opportunity to interact with so many people above the age of 60 in India.
Very interesting. Yes.
And I wish I could share this video with them now. Because it would inspire them. Because some of them.
Oh, you're being so kind, Shubhadeep. You're being very kind now. You're being very kind.
I'm being very honest. I'm being very honest because when I ran that, it was the inspiration for me was for my parents. That one should never retire, and I really echo that word you mentioned. Because that was a construct. Be busy, keep yourself occupied. Do get involved. There is age is just a number.
Absolutely.
And when I had interacted with some of the senior citizens, it was so sad in some cases to see some of them just resign from life, and it was like waiting for the Godot. And
which is so sad. Which is so
very sad. And that is the reason why I say that I wish I had this video that could inspire. I could play it on a loop, to all of them.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. If it could even inspire 1% of the people you're talking about, I'd be honored.
Absolutely, and that is the purpose of why I have this podcast. Is it's all about bringing in front of people inspiring tales. And even if one person can say that yes, it stirs them or stirs him or her. And, that to me is like, phenomenal. So when I don't look forward to anything else apart from like, the wonderful opportunity of this conversation and many like you.
And thank you for providing this. You have a wonderful platform, I think, to carry forth messages like these. I think you have a wonderful platform. I love the idea.
Thank you so much, Puneet. Puneet, have you had any moments of self-doubt or fear as you embarked into a new career?
Are you specifically talking about what I'm doing now?
Yes.
Not at all.
It's a new innings, right? And, for example,
not at all.
Top of your corporate life, suddenly you have to go out and sell yourself again, ask for a job where you start as like, as a beginner or as a struggler. How did you take that? How did you face that mentally? And how did you how do you run that process in your mind? Or you don't even
Not at all. I'll be very honest with you. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I have always treated what I'm currently doing as a passion and not a compulsion. So I never have this fear of failure. I always tell myself that if it does not work, it's not the end of the world for me. I do this purely because I enjoy what I do. So I have never let this fear of failure or any kind of mental turmoil ever get to me. I'm being very honest with you. And I think that is one of the reasons I managed to get off with what I do is because I let myself go. I can't say I let my hair down, but I let my beard down and enjoy what I do out there.
Right.
So no, to answer your question, I've never had any kind of fear or any kind of negativity, if I may.
Right.
I just go out there with a very positive mindset, and I just go out there and enjoy myself.
Right. Do you regret of not venturing out as a career of a model or an actor earlier in your life?
Not at all again, because I am a firm believer in karma.
Right.
I believe what comes to you or what will come to you is what is destined to happen to you.
Right.
And it will happen to you when it has to happen to you. Right. So there are so many things I could look back in life and regret. Maybe I should have come to the UAE 10 years earlier than I did. Right. But well, that was not in my destiny.
Right.
I do not regret what's not happened. What I like to do is look forward to what I can achieve now from where I am today. I don't have time to regret.
Phenomenal. Such a powerful statement. I don't have time.
I have one life to live, sir. And I want to live it to the hilt. So I have no time to regret.
Wonderful.
It was in my destiny.
Such a punchline. I have no time to regret. And,
I have no time to regret, sir. I have no time to regret. There's so much I want to do. And, I'm so excited about what's lies ahead of me. So this is what I tell my friends. I tell my family, we have no time to regret. We need to look forward now.
Absolutely. I mean, your energy is so infectious. And please, spread
Indeed
this. We need this. We need this energy, this positive energy to be spread around, our communities in our world. So,
As a matter of fact, I'll be honest with you. I borrowed this tagline from a client of mine. God bless his soul. He was one of my gurus when I started in the world of media sales. He's no more. And I more or less asked him something similar. And I said, sir, do you have any regrets? He said, I do not believe in the word regret because I don't have time to regret. I have a lot of things lying ahead. So that's why I picked it up for. So I am not the original author of this tagline. It's picked up. But it inspired me.
Absolutely. And I know it's that, a moment of inspiration is what and where you are today.
Very true.
You could trigger your mind to act in accordance, and I think, and that leads to my next question. I mean, for you, what's more important, heart or the mind?
I think I follow my heart because I very strongly believe that whatever comes to me comes from there. I am a Gemini, so I have a characteristic which is trying to be very illogical at times. So I'll be honest again to tell you that I really follow my mind. I follow my heart.
Wonderful.
I am an emotional fool. I can get hurt very quickly.
Right.
It's happened to me many times in life and continues to happen, but that's the way I am. So yeah, to answer your question again,
Is the heart. 100%.
सब यहीं से आता है सर, सब यहीं से आता है.
Well said, sir.
You know, one thing which I wanted to ask you, Puneet, we're almost towards the end of our show, is, what would be your advice for senior citizens in India? And in India, 60 is the age people are termed as senior citizens. And I want them to, really take this seriously. And I want them to be inspired, with looking at you, what you've been able to do, the way you've been trying to carry out your life. I think that's what I wanted, is one advice you would give for senior citizens in our country, in India.
Shubhadeep, the first question I want to ask senior citizens, whether it's most basically in India, is why do the aches and the pains suddenly emerge at 59 years and 12 months? Why doesn't someone complain of a backache when he or she is 59? So, what is the psychological barrier?
Correct.
I say get rid, for God's sake. Why not treat life from 1 to 100 the way it's supposed to be?
Right.
Start believing. It's a stereotype, Shubhadeep. It's a stereotype back home. यार 60 साल का हो गया हो, मेरे घुटने में दर्द हो रहा है, मेरे पैर में वो हो गया. अरे भाई, 1 साल पहले ये सब तेरे को क्यों नहीं हो रहा था? अभी से ये सब क्यों शुरू हो गया? So I think it's more mental out there. I think once you have a passion, once you have a belief, you have a dream, follow it, for God's sake. And I keep repeating this again and again and again, is failure is not the end of the road. Keep fighting, keep believing in yourself. Stop listening to people. There are more people in this world who want to discourage you from doing something, Shubhadeep, rather than encouraging you to do something.
Absolutely.
So I call this a battle where you're a kind of a loner. But fight it, for God's sake, because then you stand out among the 10 or 12 you're with. You'll be surprised who my biggest inspiration is, and I have absolutely no hesitation in actually naming the gentleman. There's a model come actor called Dinesh Mohan in India.
I've seen it in your post.
Read about the man. He is 61 like me. He's a type 2 diabetic like me. He was 160 odd kilos till about 2 years ago. Today, he's one of the most wanted, top-notch models in India.
Wonderful.
And he was my first inspiration because I stumbled across his story on Facebook or some social media handle. That was a huge inspiration. If he could do it, why can't we all do it?
Phenomenal.
So, think hard, believe in yourself, have a passion, dream big. Even if you get to 40% of what you've been dreaming about, my God, it's a huge achievement. It's a huge achievement. Like I told you, Suchip, sometime back.
Right.
A lot of people now think that, yes, they should be modeling at my age. So, it's just a matter of believing in a passion. That's all I can say. Stop being a stereotype, for God's sake.
I think it's a wonderful thing.
If you're 60, you haven't committed a crime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in continuum. It's just in
Being
continuum.
60 is not a crime. Being 60 is not a crime. I think it's the best stage or best part of your life is being 60.
Absolutely.
If you've organized yourself well, you've got no responsibilities. You for yourself.
Absolutely.
Sadly, in India, or for good or for bad, we spend most of our lives worrying about our youth, and then we worry about our children, and then we worry about this, and we worry about that. I say, at 60, you've got nothing to worry about except yourself. So go have a blast. Enjoy yourself.